You know, there's a certain kind of power that doesn't try to persuade you. It doesn't inspire. It just consumes everything around it, leaving nothing behind but silence and fear. Today, we're stepping right into that silence. We're going to try and understand an emperor who didn't just rule with terror. He orchestrated it, note by note.
But first, a question for you, and really think about it. If you were handed absolute, unchecked power, what would you do with it? Would you be a savior, or would something darker take over? And look, this isn't just some thought experiment. It was the reality for Rome's third emperor.
He had a saying, a phrase that pretty much summed up his entire worldview. Let them hate me so long as they fear me. For him, this wasn't just some empty threat. It was a promise. And Caligula, he always kept his promises.
To really get what that means, I want you to imagine something. You've been invited to a banquet at the palace. The air is heavy with the smell of rich food and expensive wine. But underneath all of that, there's another scent, the scent of danger.
See, an invitation from Caligula was never just an invitation. It wasn't something you could politely decline. No, it was a summons. It was a test. And as you sit there, you have absolutely no idea if you're going to survive the night.
But here's the truly terrifying thing about Caligula. It didn't start this way, not at all. When he first took the throne, people didn't see a monster. They saw a savior.
You have to understand, Rome had been living under a shadow of paranoia with the Emperor Tiberius. And then Caligula comes along, and it's like the sun came out. He ended the terrifying treason trials, he brought home people who'd been exiled, he got rid of unfair taxes, and he threw these incredible games for the people. I mean, they loved him. This was supposed to be a new golden age for Rome. But that golden age, it lasted for only 7 months. Then, in the fall of 37 AD, the emperor fell sick, really sick. For about a month, he was right on the edge of death, and the people of Rome, they were heartbroken. They gathered in the streets, they prayed to the gods, they begged for their new hero to be saved.
And incredibly, their prayers were answered. Caligula recovered. He lived. But the hopeful, beloved young ruler they all adored, he was gone. The man who came back to them was not the same.
Which brings us right back to that banquet. Back to you sitting at the emperor's table. The polite dinner is over. The real games, they're about to begin.
The whole room is laughing at something the emperor said. It's loud, maybe a little too loud, a little forced, but you laugh with them. Of course you do. You have to. It's the only safe thing to do. And then he stops, right in the middle of his own laugh. The entire room just freezes. The silence is so sudden, it's like a physical thing. Every single person is staring at him, waiting. His eyes slowly scan the room. They pass over faces one by one. And then they land on you and the man sitting next to you. His face is completely blank. He just stares. He leans forward just a little, and in a voice that's barely a whisper, he says, I was just thinking that with a single nod of my head, both of you could have your throats cut right here on the spot. And then he smiles, and the laughter explodes again, louder and more desperate than before. So, what do? And don't for a second think this was just some sick joke. It was a demonstration, a test of control. Just look at what happened to a man named Pastor. His son gets arrested, and Pastor does what any father would do. He goes and begs the emperor for mercy. Well, Caligula seems to take this as a personal challenge. He has the son executed immediately. But the cruelty, it didn't stop there. That very same night, he invites Pastor to a banquet. And that grieving father had to sit there and drink and laugh and pretend to be happy because Caligula was watching. And you see, Pastor still had another son. This wasn't just random madness. It was a perfectly calculated strategy. These games of humiliation were his favorite weapon, and his target was always the Roman elite, the senators, the powerful families, the only people who could ever really challenge him.
His methods were designed for one thing: pure degradation. He'd make powerful senators run for miles next to his carriage like dogs. At his own parties, he would walk down a line of their wives, inspecting them like cattle, and then just take one to a back room, only to return her to her husband moments later. Men of high rank were branded and sent to the mines. His critics were literally put in cages and forced to live on all fours. He even threatened to make his horse incitatus, a consul, the highest office in Rome. Just think of the absolute humiliation of that.
Roman historians actually had a name for this whole strategy. They called it a choreography of threat. The whole point is to use wildly unpredictable behavior to keep everyone completely off balance. You blur the line between what's a joke and what's a death sentence, between what's real and what's just a performance. The goal is to lock everyone in a state of constant, paralyzing fear. But here's the thing about a kingdom built entirely on fear. It's brittle. The emperor, who saw himself as a god, was, in the end, still just a man. And men can be broken. That atmosphere of absolute terror he worked so hard to perfect, it eventually turned on him. The same senators he humiliated, the guards he mocked, they started whispering in the shadows. And eventually, a tipping point was reached. Their fear of what he might do to them tomorrow became greater than their fear of rising up against him today.
On January 24th, 41 AD, the men of his own personal guard cornered him in a quiet palace corridor. Cassius Chaerea, a man Caligula had often ridiculed, struck the first blow. They stabbed him more than 30 times, and to make sure his dynasty ended right there, they went on to murder his wife and his baby daughter. The man who lived by fear died by it, killed by the very soldiers who were sworn to protect him.
Which brings us all the way back to that first question we started with, but now it has a much darker edge. Caligula's entire reign was less than 4 years, but his name has echoed through history as a warning that leaves us with one final, unsettling thought. Does absolute power create a monster? Or does it just give the monster that was already there permission to come out and play?